Hey guys, and welcome back to another Cultured Boys discussion. I'm Pepe, and I'm joined with Nathan. And today we're going to be talking about the age-old question: subs or dubs? We're talking that in regard to anime, movies, anything else that we can think of. How you doing, Nate? You well?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's an interesting question because depending on situation, I sway either way.
I agree. It's one of those ones like technically like we grew up with like watching anime. Well, I don't know, me personally anyway. I grew up watching anime in dubbed just because it was the only thing that would be available to me via Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or anything else. But I think my first experience with subbed stuff was probably when One Piece stopped airing on TV. And I just decided to I needed more One Piece in my life, so I decided to watch those like little pirated shorts, pirated, on YouTube, where there'd be like the episode would be split into three. But that was my first experience of sub stuff, really, and it only just grew since then.
Oh, okay, cool. My actual first exposure to anime was actually subbed,
Oh, really?
but not in a way you would think.
Uh-huh.
So basically, when I was younger, to encourage me to speak more Chinese, my family used to have Dragon Ball Z recorded on VHS in the Cantonese dub.
Okay.
So for like a year, and this was literally a year before it came out on Cartoon Network in the English dub,
Wow.
I actually watched the Saiyan saga and a bit of the Namek saga, like the Frieza saga, in the Chinese dub on VHS before bed, like every night for a year.
Oh, okay.
So I actually started off everything with subbed, just not the sub you would think.
How did you get a hang of these recordings? Like, was it just like recorded via because you said like they were recorded?
So I guess back in the day, my family had like some weird 90s like set top box or whatever or something, and it got some Chinese channels.
Okay.
And these recordings are actually not specifically for me. They were because my cousins grew up watching Dragon Ball in Chinese, and that's how they learned more Chinese and got more acquainted with the language. So my family thought it'd work again for me. But like I said, I started doing this a year before it came out on Cartoon Network, and then afterwards I just gave up because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch it in English because it's on TV
Yeah.
during the daytime. Like I come back from school and it's on, and it's further than where these videotapes at the time were showing me, because like I wasn't weirdly enough allowed to watch it during the day. They only wanted me to watch it before I go to sleep, so it's kind of really strange.
So was this sorry to help you? Like, what age were you when you were watching these?
I must have been like 6 or 7.
Okay, so was it like to help you learn Cantonese or learn to help you with your reading?
It was kind of like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I guess that the hope was that by hearing it, I would understand and learn more vocabulary. Then, like getting engaged with it, maybe I'd be encouraged to speak more Chinese. I mean, you wouldn't learn reading or writing from it because it's anime. So, like, I think it was just mainly so that I would end up learning more of the language.
I get you. Yeah. Plus, like your brain is like a sponge as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
By
Like,
watching.
as a little kid, I would have probably picked up some words or something. But then, now that I'm older and I'm trying to learn another language, I'm learning from YouTube and people who like teach languages that, yes, whilst you can use resources like anime and TV and stuff to learn another language, you will learn very specialized vocabulary. So be careful of that.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Because, like, for example, I was watching a video recently. It was a collab with a YouTuber I really like, Dogan. He's an American who lives in Japan, and he does, like, short Japanese comedy videos. But he did a collab with someone else, another YouTuber. I can't remember her name, Summer or something like that, right? And basically, she teaches English in Japan, and she said she had a student at one point who learned English from watching 24, the TV show.
Oh wow. Okay.
And she said, whilst he knew English, he only knew very specialized English, as you would. So he only
Yeah.
knew things like, drop the gun! Like, he learned, phrases from 24.
Yeah.
So, whilst he knew English, it wasn't useful in everyday life.
I mean, what I'm hearing is that you learn how to say "I didn't charge my key" or
Yeah,
"You
probably.
monkey
Like,
bastard" when like Frieza's getting angry. Like,
yeah, I mean, I couldn't remember any of that now, but as a kid, I really only learned specialized Chinese, I guess.
that's jokes. I love that. I love that idea that you're just going around like Cantonese, just like Kamehameha,
Well, I mean, it's the same
and then you be the
in
same.
any
And then you be
language.
the
Yeah,
same
like,
thing.
I definitely would have been doing that, and no one would be the wiser.
Yeah, I mean, like special beam cannon is different from like they don't shout in Japanese like special beam cannon. They don't do that. It's
Makango Sabo.
there you go, there it is. And Gallic gun is Gallicoho, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's not like, was it Tribeam? He's
yeah. God, man. Yeah, so that's the differences between sub and dub, but especially with Dragon Ball. Now that I guess you've ingested it in various amounts of ways, dubbed and subbed and all sorts. Because there's also different kinds of dubs with the Dragon Ball anime as well. You have to remember this, like.
because it was what, the Ocean dub and then the Funimation.
Yeah, I think so. But then there was like this other random dub that like. Did you ever get the Dragon Ball movie DVDs when you were?
No.
So I remember, like over here in the UK, it was impossible to find any Dragon Ball VHS, DVD, or anything because they just didn't put them out
Yeah.
at all. It is basically non-existent. But what they did release were the Dragon Ball Z movies on DVD.
Oh god, I feel like every movie was like dubbed by a different company.
That's right. They're dubbed completely differently to what I was used to. So I remember getting this. I remember seeing it was the Lord Slug,
Oh yeah.
and I had that on DVD, but it wasn't in the Ocean dub that we watched either. So it was. I can't remember what dub it was. I can't remember what company that did it. But I remember so distinctly that Goku's voice was completely different to what he was like in the Ocean dub. And it sounded like just a typical, like in South Park where they imitate the American people, like, I'm going to buy this with my credit card.
Yeah.
It's what Goku sounded like. Goku sounded like, hey, you, stop bullying my friends. And it was like, I'm watching this like, this is weird. What happened to Goku's voice? This is like before I knew about different companies and that. So I was like, what happened?
I feel like when I watched the Garlic Jr. movie for the first time as well,
Yeah.
I feel like Goku's voice was different in that as well.
It's a strange one. It goes to show as well. Even back then, I was like, oh my god, I can notice this difference. It's weird. I knew for a fact I didn't like that voice.
Yeah.
I like the normal Goku voice that I've seen before, but this translates a little bit into. I remember when Super first got announced and came out.
Oh, that was such a hard transition. Oh my god.
That's it. Like everyone was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna wait till the dub comes out to watch this," like because like a lot of us like just generally didn't watch the subbed version of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, so a lot of us are used to Sean Schemmel, the English voice,
Exactly. Yeah.
rather than Masako Nozawa's Goku, which is much higher pitched than Sean Schemmel.
It's, and when you compare the two, you're like, oh my god, why does like your initial thoughts when you hear that, it's like, why does Goku sound like that? Like it's weird. You see, like, because obviously we've been brought up with this like muscly dude.
Yeah, who's got like a deeper, more like serious voice.
It sounds like Goku's basically a kid at this point.
Yeah, but he's like an adult, and you're like, hang on a sec.
Has she played Goku throughout the whole series, like since Dragon Ball?
Masako Nozawa has played Goku, Gohan, and Goten the entire run.
Yeah, so that's the thing, because obviously, like with Kid Goku, they did like obviously there was that decision to keep the voice, which is understandable. In most series you would keep that voice, but it's just like it makes sense if you watch Dragon Ball subbed first, because Goku's voice it sounds like it fits Kid Goku. It definitely does. But when you obviously like he gets older and he's like he looks like he's in his like mid-30s or something.
I think Goku's older than mid-30s, by the way, just saying.
I know. Yeah, I've also, but that's what he looks like. That's like the thing I just plucked out of my head. But like that, like hearing him with that voice is very, very strange. It's
I always, when I think of the sub of Dragon Ball, is always just Goku screaming Vegeta.
Vegeta! I completely get what you mean. It's funny as well when you see that.
It's the stark difference, right? Because if you heard that in English, it'd be what you'd expect, I guess. Like a slightly deeper voice, maybe a little more gravel in it. But I remember just the first time hearing that was like so grating to my ears. I was just like, what the fuck is this? No.
I kind of knew what the voices like sounded like because the thing is the transition for me wasn't probably as hard as some other people because like from a young age I used to have the Dragon Ball PS1 video games and obviously they weren't dubbed at all.
Yeah.
Budokai wasn't dubbed either.
Yeah, that was also in sub.
Yeah, so like I think as a kid I was like, oh, it's a bit weird that Goku sounds like that. Like, well, it wasn't just Goku, it was a lot of the characters. Because obviously I'm like, expect me playing these games for the first time expecting a dubbed cast. I was like, ooh, all these characters sound really different, but I didn't really care that much because I just wanted to play Dragon Ball games. It wasn't that much of a barrier for me.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking that's probably why I didn't like the transition was hard because I most likely wasn't listening. I was just like Dragon Ball game. I was too focused on actually playing than listening to what they sound like. Either that or my kid brain was like super strong and was just like, I'm ignoring all of this. It's too traumatizing, therefore I'm ignoring it all.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those. I kind of just it is easy for me, especially like God, I remember. God, yeah, I played loads of those random games as well. There's Battle Stadium DON had a full Japanese cast. Like again, like I watched One Piece at that point, subbed, and Naruto I watched dubbed first, and I moved on to sub later.
There is an anime, quote unquote, or like an animated thing I watched in subbed before. I think I've told you this before, Pepe, but maybe not on recording. When Sonic X was first announced, my cousins went and got the first 2 episodes and burned it onto a CD so I could watch.
Okay.
So I've actually watched the first 2 episodes of Sonic X in Japanese.
Interesting.
Like, and I'm like, of all the things at the time, because I'd never watched any other sub. Like, I've never, by that point, like you said, we grew up, all dubbed, so.
Yeah.
I had no reason to go out and watch anything in Japanese, but like thinking of the first thing I probably watched ever in Japanese, and it was Sonic X.
I have so many questions about what that's like. I don't like because Sonic in Japanese is not too far from like what I feel Sonic would be.
Yeah, the voice cast, they're very similar. I think they worked very hard to get very similar sounding voices.
Yeah, but I just want to know what the opening's like because that's what I care about. Because Sonic is like,
I actually don't remember what the opening's like.
I'd love to know what that's like because obviously we had a very kid friendly opening for
That's one of the best openings ever.
Like, what was it? Well, which opening are we talking about here? Because there's 2 openings to Sonic X.
I'm talking about the one that isn't just Sonic
X. Sonic X.
Yeah. I'm talking about the one that's got proper lyrics.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah, that one.
Gotta go faster. Like, I think, we definitely talked about that in the Sonic episode, I feel. But God, I want to know what the opening's like for that. Like, I'm curious.
I actually don't remember. It might have also just been the original, like, Sonic X.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think the opening might have been crap.
I hope not. I'm gonna have to check it out. We'll both check it out after the recording.
I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah, I just remember at the time, like, asking my cousins, like, so I can clearly hear them saying each other's names, but why do they keep saying Sonic-gu? Like, I didn't understand it at the time because I didn't know any Japanese. I didn't have any exposure to that. And I was like, why do they keep adding syllables at the end? Like, or like vowels and things. Like, what's that about? And like, that's just the way it is. Obviously, now that I'm older and I've learnt some Japanese, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They go by, the katakana, so Soniku would make sense, like Teruzu or something, like.
It's funny when that English kind of feeds into the subs as well. Because as I mentioned before, I used to watch like anime via YouTube, and there would be certain animes that like when it's fan subbed at the end of the day, and like they'd feed that into the sub, so you'd see stuff like Luffy, for example, wouldn't be spelled as Luffy. He'd be spelled as
Rufy.
Rufy, like, and like apparently that's what they actually call him in Germany as well. He isn't called Luffy; he's called Rufy, like Monkey D. Rufy. I feel that's a fact. I'm sorry if that's wrong. I feel like I've seen that somewhere. I'm sure it is. But they call it Rufy. And for Death Note, for example, I think I watched it dubbed first, but I think I ended up watching some fan subs somewhere of like something. But they don't say light. Obviously, they say Raito.
Yeah.
So it'd be really weird in the subs. I'm like, he's clearly light. I've always known him as light. I read the manga. I watched the dubbed anime. He's light Yagami.
What are you talking about? Raito Yagami?
Like Raito, like
Raito
seeing
Yagami.
that written down. Like who the fuck's Raito? Like who the fuck's that? Like it took me.
What, you don't know Raito and Eru?
Okay, L was just L. If you put Eru instead of L, I would have been like, no,
Look,
fuck this.
I'm amazed that it wasn't, because like it's Japanese, so to what I know, it would probably, maybe nowadays it probably would have been Eru.
It probably was. God, because like, we've both seen the Death Note live action as well, so I feel like if anything, it is gonna be edited. Like going back to Sonic X for a moment, though.
Yeah.
Was that subbed by 4Kids? Dubbed by 4Kids.
I think so.
God, because that was an experience as well. Like Sonic X worked for 4Kids. I think that worked fine. And there's certain ones with 4Kids that I feel like we've got to like.
You're gonna talk about the One Piece and things, or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, it's not so much like dub versus sub. Like 4Kids, is more just a licensing thing in general. But like, there's certain things there that like it just like why? Like Yu-Gi-Oh is one of them as well. Like Yu-Gi-Oh kind of like you can get away with a bit more.
Yeah, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is the most egregious one, isn't it?
Oh, there's a whole, well, I don't know, it depends on how you look at Yu-Gi-Oh, because obviously they said the Shadow Realm in Yu-Gi-Oh.
I just meant like some of the edits they made, more so than like dubisms.
Yeah. Oh god, the guns, the Kaiba guns. I forgot about that. Where they go to arrest Kaiba, like,
and they
Pegasus
just pointing their fingers at him, and he jumps
like,
out the window.
Hey, yous, come here! You'll never take me alive with your finger pointing. Like, okay, man just jumped out of a window because he like some guys pointed at him.
Because two guys burst through the door and pointed at him.
Yeah, Bandit Keith, like he threatens Pegasus with a gun as well, but there were certain things like in the Battle City arc as well. I think it's Arcana. The character who also uses Dark Magicians, who's under like with Merrick's. I can't remember what Merrick's like squad was called. Like the card Rare Hunters. Were they Rare Hunters?
Something I don't remember.
Something like that, like card sharks. Who fucking knows? But. Like there was a point where obviously the Shadow Realm thing is literally just like, oh, but we're stealing your soul, basically. But that was too much to to dub. So they're like, oh, kids ain't gonna like that. We're stealing their souls, basically. So we're gonna send them to the Shadow Realm. So the Shadow Realm was like a thing anyway. With Arcana, he literally put Yugi into a death game.
Yeah.
They were basically, if you lose the duel, you have your legs sawn off.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah.
But like in the 4Kids one, you have instead of these like literal saws that are coming like every time you lose your life points, you go fucking die or you go lose your feet. Like it was these holographic buzz saws, which were like, oh, you go into the Shadow Realm because at the time as a kid, I didn't even question that. I was like, oh yeah, that's viable, but you didn't even clock that. Oh wait, no, there's actual saws going on. Like not sending to the Shadow Realm either. You're freaking dying.
You know, like it feels like we used to know more dubisms.
Yeah.
Things like that. I just right now I just can't recall any more than Because I guess like Yu-Gi-Oh is the one that always goes around because it was again I feel like it was the most egregious out of them all.
One Piece was bad as well, but I think it was more like sort of obviously Sanji smokes a cigarette and they replaced it with a lollipop. Also gave him a Brooklyn accent. Oh no, was it Brooklyn? It was like some weird New York like sort. I don't know. I'm not too like sure on my dialects, but
I don't know. I never actually watched the One Piece anime.
yeah, it was like it is weird. They gave Sanji some weird accent, and they corrected that very well in the Funimation dub. Because it's Eric Vale that does Sanji now, who does Trunks as well. Nathan's favorite character.
Yep. Let's quickly move on from that before I go on a tirade.
What else was there? But Shanks was Australian in the 4Kids dub.
Okay.
Luffy is very similar. There weren't too many differences with Luffy's voice. Well, Robin, obviously, because Robin eventually, when she first appears in One Piece, she has that cowboy hat on, doesn't she?
She from Texas.
Yes, they literally just like, oh, yeah, there we go. There's your tie there.
Okay.
I think Robin and Sanji's voices were probably the most problematic. But Zoro was, like, again, they didn't call him Zoro in the 4Kids dub. They called him Zolo. I guess because Zoro would be copyrighted slightly.
Probably, yeah.
Like, but the thing is with Zoro's voice in the 4Kids dub is that I actually didn't mind it as much, but when I first heard the Funimation dub of Zoro, I was like, oh, it's one of those ones that probably doesn't actually sit as well with me as the 4Kids one does, because it was literally Piccolo.
But I was going to say, isn't it Chris Sabat?
Yeah, so it was literally his Piccolo voice, and I was like, wow, okay. So Zoro was just Piccolo now.
Makes sense. They're both green.
It was cool though. It works at the end, and I'm used to that. I think all of like voice cast for the Funimation dub of One Piece is sick. There's no weird tropey sort of things like that. Like there's no random like Brooklyn Sanji or whatever, or Texas Robin. Like they're all fine. Yeah, there was some things as well that they had to change with One Piece with that. In Japan, Eneru is called NL. I'm pretty sure to just. And they translated that into Eneru for the Western audiences.
Again, I think that's that assumption of the RL thing.
Yeah. But I can kind of, like, I don't know, NL sounds very close to another.
Yeah, it might also be that.
I feel like it might be that, but
it's probably that more than anything. And I think that Zoro is, again, more of a copyright thing than a language assumption.
I think so too, yeah. But no, that's like a whole bunch of One Piece differences. Is there any other anime that you think you'd appreciate more in dub over sub, or like the other way around even? Like, because there's, for example, in sub, like I can appreciate most animes in dub, you know, because I started rewatching Attack on Titan recently. The 4th season or final season, and to get back into that, I watched the dub of it.
Okay.
And then I've eventually got into the sub because I was like, okay, there's no more dub episodes left. And the same I did with My Dress Up Darling as well. I watched that dubbed first and went into sub. I've kind of done the same with Platinum End as well, even though I read that first. There's a whole bunch of them. I feel like it's probably the way I actually ingest anime a bit easier now. I get hooked in via the dub and then start watching the sub like a couple episodes later.
See, like, I can't think of any, but like nowadays I try to watch the media in the language it was originally created in, because I think I've said it before in a previous episode, but like I'm starting to learn that, like, you know, if you watch it in a dub, they try their best, but obviously there's certain things you have to do to make it follow like lip flaps and stuff or whatever, so there's not as much like reanimating or something. So like I feel like sometimes maybe you don't get the correct, not so much correct, but you know, like there might not be the same tone or emotion or something, you know, because you're trying to follow a beat instead. You're trying to follow somebody else's speech. So that's why I try to, if I'm going to watch something, I'll try to watch it subbed if it is, because then you might, even if I don't understand what's being said, you might be able to glean the proper like emotions or whatever from the way the scene is going.
I can understand that, yeah.
For example, not an anime, but I heard that people didn't really enjoy Squid Game in dub, but that's not something I would have ever watched in dub.
No, I agree, because I think I might have tried to watch like Squid Game like 5 seconds in dub, like, and I was like, nah, I can't deal with that. I think most live actions that are dubbed, I can't deal with that at all. It always throws me off so much.
Yeah, I think it's also because like that is definitely something where you have to follow along if you're dubbing, because obviously you're not going to be able to reshoot, and you're not going to try and spend all the money to like CGI the lip flaps or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember like I remember watching a while back the Drunken Master, the Jackie Chan film.
yeah,
I remember watching that, and it's a great film. But I watched that in dub, and I was like, oh, this is just weird to watch. I don't like this at all.
yeah. I find a lot of those old like kung fu films in dubbed is just really hard.
It's like it feels more comedy. Like it feels like it takes away from the actual seriousness. Like I'd actually watch him as a joke rather than actually watching him for a serious thing. No, I'd watch the film. In the end, I'd be like, oh, that's a really good movie. It's a shame that the dub's so fucking shit. Like because like I actually really enjoyed the storyline. It's just it's a laughing stock when it is dubbed.
Yeah, I think that's why those old films end up on like a list that's like, oh, so good they're bad. But it's mainly because of the dubbing back then.
Yeah, it takes out of it completely.
I don't know. There's some films I just can't even imagine watching in a dub if there was one. Like I just feel like it'd be wrong. Like just off of kung fu films, like I can't. I've only ever watched Kung Fu Hustle subbed.
Oh god, yeah.
But again, most of it's in Cantonese, so personally, I don't struggle that much. I actually understand, I'd probably say 80% of what is said. So, like, me personally, I don't need the dub for that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if there is a dub.
I think there was because I had that DVD and I had it. The best way to watch Kung Fu Hustle, I had the UMD video
Oh,
for it on the
God.
PSP. Because I liked it so much, and I think my parents were like, oh, he really likes this movie, so we'll get it for him to watch like on the go as well. So I had the actual DVD of it, and I had the PSP version. And I remember specifically the PSP version defaults into dub first,
Ew.
and then but then you had to change. But then I think I was watching it, I was like, no, I don't vibe with this. So I had to manually go into settings and switch all the settings around and that. Oh yeah, Kung Fu Hustle, brilliant film. Yeah, easily watch it in sub every time. Like I don't think I could I can't handle the dub of that.
Again, I've never experienced it and I don't want to. So,
It's like what I was saying about Drunken Master though. It takes it out of it. Even though like Kung Fu Hustle is like a comedy movie at times, it has some good comedy moments.
yeah. So it might add to it, but I feel like it wouldn't.
No, it adds to it in the wrong reasons that you'd want it to.
Ah, okay.
Going off of another series, I know this is going back to anime now.
That's cool, man. Like,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I have only seen a small clip of, I think, part 3. And whilst Matt Mercer is a great voice actor, I didn't quite enjoy his Jotaro.
Yeah. I am gonna be slightly controversial here, for a tiny bit controversial. I originally watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 in sub.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't. I actually started watching that in 2014, I believe, and then I just couldn't get into it. So fast forward a bit, 2015, 2016 time. I end up picking the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure DVD up in HMV for about £7.
Okay.
Which includes parts 1 and 2. And I thought, I think at the time I was playing something, so I was like, I kind of want to just play this game while watching JoJo, so I'll put it on dub.
Yeah.
So I actually watched the first 2 parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in dub.
Okay.
Probably not the best dub, I'd say. Considering it is Funimation. Is it Funimation that does it? I think it is, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like they're the only ones I kind of know that do dubs at this point. Like, it's an okay dub, but like they do that whole thing where, Jonathan and Joseph are technically British, so they give them the really kind of over-the-top English accents.
Okay.
And it kind of like feels a bit like, I'm not keen on it.
I mean, for Jonathan, that makes sense. He was supposed to be from a upper class family, so
Yeah,
I feel like he would have a fancy English accent. But Joseph, I feel like would sound closer to you or me.
yeah. Like with Joseph, he kind of has. It's a weird posh version as well, posh British as well.
Nah, with Joseph, he should really. I feel like he should sound closer to the way we do.
Yeah, but it sounded a bit strange. But then the funny thing about that though is that when Joseph goes into part 3, because I watched a little bit of the part 3 dub, and I didn't get very far with it. I think the sub and JoJo, the voice acting, the Japanese cast just really lends it to it.
Well, plus, you know, the English is the best.
Oh, the memes that have come from part 3, just like
The Japanglish is the best part.
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss, I love that. That's the good shit. But in the dub of part 3, Joseph doesn't sound British anymore. He becomes American.
It makes sense. He spent most of his life over there.
But it sounds weird, like but I don't know. But he's completely changed his accent. He doesn't carry it over from part 2.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that does happen though. Not to everybody, but like
yeah.
for some people it does happen. You end up picking up the accent and just sounding different.
That's true. I don't know. Like for me, it was a bit too weird.
Like,
I
I get what you mean. I don't want to like shit on your point or anything, but like it can happen.
It's a viable thing. It's not completely like it's not unreasonable to happen. No, fair. Even though I like Hitalia, for example, I love that. I've always watched it in the dub.
I've never watched it. I know what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. Like, I don't really find it that egregious that the accents are quite stereotypical. And in any other series, they would be really grating. But obviously, like, Germany is going to have a German accent.
Yeah.
Italy is going to have an Italian accent. And not at times, it kind of feels like someone's like it's just like some American person putting on an accent. And like, oh, we got to sound like Italian. Hey, here's my Italian accent. Like, I'm gonna do it. So, but it borders on that a little bit. So you probably could find some complaints about it. But I don't know, I quite enjoy it at the same time. I think it's a good series. I enjoy the series. I'd rather watch Italia in dub over sub.
Fair enough.
Yu-Gi-Oh is one as well that I feel like I'd struggle to watch it in sub, you know.
Is it?
I think so, because when I play Jump Force and that, obviously Yugi's got this Japanese voice now, so it's not going to be Dan Green saying Cypher the Sky Dragon and stuff like that. It's like it's a very, I don't hate it. It'd take a bit of getting used to, but I feel like because I'm so used to the 4Kids version now, it's just gonna stick like that. I probably wouldn't agree. No, that sounds bad. It takes some getting used to for me to watch a sub.
Fair. Going off of video game though, like I just realized I actually did the opposite of what I said. For the Yakuza series, I played 0 to 6 in subbed because that was the only way.
Yeah.
So it was all Japanese. And then 7, Judgement, and Lost Judgment, they've got English voice cast. They've got a dub.
Okay.
And those 3 games I've played in dub, and I realized, why did I do that?
Is it like did you like when you first did it, was like a conscious thing? Like, did you ever want to switch back to sub at all?
I think the first one was Judgment, the first one to do that, and I think I did it because it was like a spin-off game. So I was like, probably none of the characters I know will be in it. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. It's got English for the first time. Why not?
It's enough. Yeah.
And then I thought it's probably why I did it for 7 as well, or Like a Dragon, because I was like, oh, well, it's a whole new cast. I don't know how many characters are returning.
I get it, yeah. So it's kind of...
But I will say this. There are some characters in 7 that I have only ever heard in Japanese, and I do not like the English voices. So I think for the next one, I might swap back.
Okay, interesting. So I guess I do get what you mean though of your previous point, like because it feels far removed enough that you can carry on.
Yeah,
I can understand why you'd do that, but okay, it's interesting you'd switch back to the sub after. Is it literally just because you just don't agree with the voice acting is just a bit questionable?
It's not that it's questionable. I've just when you're so used to hearing a voice, and like. I don't know, maybe video games is a little different because it's an interactive medium.
Yeah.
Is that like some of the characters in it I've physically played as, so I've heard the voice in Japanese like for hours on end. And I'm like, I was that character to some extent. When the voice is very different, like some of them were fine. And I don't want to say the character names because it's spoilers, the game came out a while ago, but like, people might not have played it, or people are like, might be experiencing the entire Yakuza franchise right now. So I don't want to spoil anything. But like, there's just some characters that I'm like, I see what you're going for, but like, it's just not close enough for me to like ignore it. Or like, there's just some voices that I'm like, you're too far removed that it's almost like a different character.
I get you.
So it's not that it was bad, it's just not what I was used to hearing and not what I was playing as for X amount of hours. Like, again, I've played by this point almost the entire franchise that's available to me in the UK. So that's probably hundreds of hours I've played this franchise.
So when is the next game coming out, out of curiosity?
I have no idea. I don't think they've
Have they even
announced
announced it? Is it actually happening?
I think they unofficially announced that they were working on it,
Yeah.
but I don't know when the next one's coming out.
So if there was a Lost Judgment 3, for example, would you go into that changing that? Because obviously you play them both in dub, right?
No, I think for Lost Judgment, I'd leave it in English.
Okay.
Despite what I said before about trying to experience it in...
But with the next Yakuza, you'd go for sub then?
Yeah, I think Yakuza, I'd go back.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's what you know at the end of the day. Like, it's what you're accustomed to. So... It's an interesting one with the video game side, because what was it? Wasn't there one game where they said they weren't actually gonna... I can't remember which one it was. I think it was one of the Persona ones, that they weren't actually gonna translate it. No, scratch all of that. It was the Blaze Blue games.
Oh, right.
So the final Blaze Blue game, they dubbed all of them. They dubbed them all with English voices the whole time. But in the
yeah, because I remember hearing English voices before.
Yeah, but in the final one, they just switched it back. They was like, nope, okay, we're going to go with a fully just sub game. There's going to be no English voice cast in it. And again, not the most egregious thing. I was like, okay, well, I'll just play it regardless. But yeah, it was an interesting decision to take that away. Especially when they brought Cross-Tag Battle back and they just brought the dubbed voices back as well.
Oh, okay.
Curious about the decision that was made there, but I'm not disheartened by it. Like it doesn't stop me from watching something if something's just solely in sub. I'm not gonna be like, oh well, I'm just gonna have to wait for like I don't know how many more months or whatever or never to ingest this media. If it's available to me right there and then, and I want to watch it, I'm just gonna watch it. I don't care if it's like in dubbed or not. I'm like, okay, I just want to watch this as long as the quality is good. That's another thing as well. Like some sub quality can be questionable.
Yeah.
Granted, it's probably not like it's always that classic. What was it, the Pros ED sketch?
Yeah.
It's like fan subs versus normal subs. It's like Sasuke, you're my friend versus fuck you, Sasuke, you bitch.
You're my Nakama.
Nakama. Oh, it was like old fan subs were rife with that kind of thing. It was just throwing fucks in there for no reason. But it was great.
Ore, I'm sick of your shit.
Yeah, and then it'd be like Ore means this. In the top
yeah, Ore means I.
Yeah, so why did you just put the I in? Any other like dubbed or sub moments you can think of?
I mean, for me, I think the only other thing is, I mean, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and that happens to have to be subbed because that's how it's made, and it's YouTube.
There's no other option, isn't there?
Yeah, there's not an option for dub. There is subtitles for some of it, and sometimes you just don't have subtitles at all because the creator didn't put any, or you know, a helpful fan hasn't made any, or whatever, you know. So I end up having to just watch it in Japanese.
I think it is interesting how Japan is actually seeing that, like with certain YouTube channels. Anyway, I feel like they do actually provide like a subbed part of it as well. Like I noticed this with is it the creator of Tekken? I can't remember his name now.
Teruki Harada, I believe.
Harada, yeah. Harudas Bar. Have you seen Harudas Bar before?
I actually haven't. I've heard of it, though.
It's his like sort of like podcasty sort of thing. But he actually subs all of those.
Oh, that's cool.
Not him personally, I'm sure his team does.
Yeah,
I know Harada's just there translating stuff. Because I watched his interviews with Sakurai. Smash Bros.
Of course he did.
Yeah, because it was at the time where like I wanted to keep up to date with it. I was curious, and it wasn't even necessarily about Smash Bros. They were just talking about their favorite games and stuff. But like it's all subbed, all that, and I was quite surprised that it was actually from that channel and not someone else just randomly subtitling it. Like it was actually from that.
I mean, yeah, I appreciate that kind of stuff because I mean, like even something like, you know, like when Sakurai was doing the character breakdowns, like that was also subbed.
Yeah, all that. I mean, it was dubbed in America at some points, weren't it?
Yeah, Nintendo Directs are like dubbed as well, so there's that.
well, the American ones are. It's really weird that like the European directs are just subbed. Where if you watch the same direct on the American channel, it's all dubbed instead.
Huh.
It's a weird one. That I always found it was like, why is the American one dubbed and the European one's always subbed?
Because in Europe, there's no point doing a dub because you'd have to do too many. So for the EU, it's just probably easier if you have someone sit there, translate, and just type it all out.
And then it could just be like,
Yeah, and then you can auto detect or whatever. And
yeah, because it's a whole other like thing with like the different languages as well. If you wanted to like,
yeah, exactly. Like whereas America, it you could just spend the tiny bit of money or whatever, or have someone just do the voiceover.
it's quite cool that off of what I was saying before as well with the Japanese translation sort of thing. Like the One Piece YouTube channel. I don't know if you ever checked it out before.
No, I have never been on there.
I remember when they announced the global popularity poll, they did like a massive reveal for it.
Okay.
But they had it was all pre-recorded and subbed as well. That was all subbed. Like I guess global popularity poll, you'd need to do that sort of thing, wouldn't you? You need to. You can't have a global popularity poll and do a big show about it, and then just like, nah, we're not going to subtitle that. It's just going to be all Japanese. we involved you, but you don't get to receive the results like in your language or whatever. That was cool. I do appreciate that sort of thing. That everywhere is becoming a bit more accommodating, no matter like what your preferences are.
I mean, like, I feel like that's why for this episode topic we went subbed or dubbed, because it's like situational. You know, sometimes you're either forced into it and you've got no choice, or you choose specifically which one you want.
Yeah, it's like, because some people, like, back in the day as well, it used to be a proper salty thing.
Well, yeah.
Like, if you said you watch dubbed anime, like, people would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're not ingesting the meat. Like, people get really angry about it.
Yeah, well, that's because it's probably like, oh, you're not hardcore weeb enough.
That's the thing, and that would be the counter argument to it. Like, well, I just want to watch the dub in my language. Why are you being so fucking weeby about it? Like,
why aren't you trying to learn Japanese like the rest of us so you can get a waifu?
yeah, just like you don't like let people like do what they want at the end of the day. If you like ingest the media how you want to do it. If you want to watch the German thing where he's calling Luffy Roofy and stuff like that, yeah, go. I mean, hey, my preferred way, but anything else you gotta say?
Wow, that felt like weirdly like aggressive.
Is it? I say, I mean,
anything else to say?
Is say for yourself? No, because at this point, like I feel like I've talked about One Piece half the fucking time. And I realized, Sub versus Dub, where it's just another opportunity for Pepe just to go on a massive One Piece rant.
I mean, hey man, I don't know. I guess nowadays I just don't pay attention to it so much. Like you said before, you would, because it's like, it's a flame. It used to be a flame war constantly of like sub versus dub. Nowadays, it's not so much like as big a thing, you know? Like, I'm sure there's still people who argue over it, and there always will be, but like, I don't know, man.
I was there's one extra little point here. Like I was watching a few Ghibli movies yesterday, and I realized this afterwards. My default was just to go to the dub for it because that's what I've always watched. But then I you notice like with certain bits of the Ghibli movies, especially because there's so many frames in it, and like there's so much like, how do I explain it? Like the facial expressions when they're talking.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there. There's a lot of movement there, and I realized that like halfway through watching one, I was like, this would probably make a lot more sense to just watch it subbed rather than like, because it's that same problem that I had like with the live action dubs, is that like not like the mouth doesn't always move along the same time as the speech does, and it kind of feels the same vibe with some Ghibli movies. And I was sat there like, why am I finding this much of an issue with it? Then I realized it is because I'm just used to it. I'm just used to watching the dubbed Ghibli movies.
Wow, you just made me realize I've never watched a Ghibli movie in Japanese either.
Yeah,
Okay, except for the ones that are only in Japanese.
Yeah, I've always watched it dubbed.
Yeah, or the ones that are in English, I watch in English. Fuck.
Yeah, the only one I've watched in sub was The Wind Rises.
No, I watched that in English as well.
But the thing is with Ghibli movies as well, they actually got like a sick cast with them. Like usually it's like actually A-list celebrities.
Yeah.
Like voicing them and stuff. Because I didn't realize that Howl's Moving Castle is what is it? It's Christian Bale voicing Howl.
Huh. Never realized that.
And what was it? In The Wind Rises, the main character, I can't remember his name, is voiced by Darren Criss.
Ah.
You know, what was it like? Well, he's in a whole bunch of stuff, really. Glee, more than anything that I know him from. But like, what was it? There's a whole bunch of like pretty sick voice actors in these movies.
Interesting.
It's always quite it's quite a cool one to look when you look up IMDb and like, oh, okay. I guess like it's like the equivalent of like doing like, I don't know, Disney movies though. At the end of the day, obviously like Ghibli and Disney are very different.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure for quite a while Disney had the distribution rights.
Yeah, it's sick to see like such like A-list celebrities actually doing voice acting with that. That's really cool.
Well, feels like this is the natural conclusion. So
Yeah.
thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, leave us a comment on other subs or dubs you enjoyed, maybe a video idea or something. Whatever it is, just leave us a comment. We check them all the time. And don't forget to find us on podcast platforms, links in the description. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.